Welcome to WSD Voice, a podcast focused on positive and informative news in Waterford School District. We have a great program lined up for you today. I am your host, Sarah Davis, the Director of Communications and Community Relations, and I am here with Waterford School District Superintendent Scott Lindbergh, who is making a return appearance as co-host. Scott said he had such a fun time in our first episode that he asked to participate again. So welcome back, Scott.
Hi, Sarah. Yes, I really enjoyed being on WSD Voice, and I found it was a great way to engage with parents and students, and so I'm going to try to make myself available to be on all of the episodes whenever possible.
Awesome. I'm happy to hear that. This really is a more the merrier type of scenario where the more people we can get engaged in learning about the positive news of Waterford School District, the better. And before we dive into our episode topics, I'd like to take a minute to let our audience know that our podcast has been syndicated on 2 radio stations. Shout out to 89.5 WAHS Avondale Community Radio and Radio Central Multicultural for helping us promote the good news of Waterford School District. I just love partnering with our community organizations because a strong community connection is truly the backbone for a successful school district, and we're blessed to have that here in Waterford.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Sarah. And you know, I kind of think of this saying, as go the schools, so goes the community. And so these strong, purposeful partnerships are so critically important because all of us working together build and make a stronger community. And I always like to think about together we can. Anything is possible.
So we're in the month of March now, and I'm sure you're aware that there's a lot of school-related national celebrations that are recognized in March. For example, did you know March is also Food Nutrition Month, and more specifically, March 7th through 14th is National School Breakfast Week.
Yes, and March is also Music in Our Schools Month and Theater in Our Schools Month, which are topics that we will be focusing on later in this episode. Waterford School District has a deep commitment to all of our art-related programs, and I'm excited to highlight those in this episode.
Me too, but first let's start with our food service portion of our program. I'd like to welcome today Michael Williams, Director of Waterford School District's Food Service Department, Tina Rompa, Assistant Cook for Pierce Middle School, and Kristen Woods-Helms, Principal at Durant High School, to talk about the integral role food service plays in our school district. Thank you to all of you for being here. Michael, we'll begin with you. Can you first give us a brief overview of the food service program we have here at Waterford School District?
Well, first and foremost, thank you for having me on the show today. Just a brief overview of what we do as the food service department in the district. First and foremost, we make sure that all the students in our district are fed, right? Nutritional meals, breakfast and lunch. And we, and I'm speaking for myself and my staff, we have fun doing it. We love coming to work every day. Everything that we do is key and pivotal to making sure that our students start off with a great day and are ready to learn. And during lunch, we make sure that they're provided a nutritional meal to continue that wanting and that thirst for learning. So the students are glad to come in for breakfast and lunch every morning, and we serve a lot of students every day. On a daily basis, we serve close to 6,000 meals. On a weekly basis, that gives it up when we serve about 30,000 meals, and on average monthly, we serve about 130,000 meals a day. A month, sorry.
Wow, that's a lot. Tina, can you talk a little bit about what a day in the life of a lunch lady looks like?
Certainly. First of all, thank you for having me on the show as well. The day in the life of a lunch lady, my day starts at 6:15 in the morning. I come in, we review the menu in the morning to discuss what's on the menu. I start prepping for breakfast in the morning, get breakfast cooked and handled and ready to go for when other girls come in to serve it. Check the menu, start prepping for the next day's menu. So, because we're always a day ahead. So I look and see what's on the menu for, if it's Monday, for Tuesday, pull everything out of the freezer, start getting that ready to go. And then I'm watching the clock constantly, because at about 8:30, 8:45, I've got to start cooking. So, and getting things cooking and rolling so that my girls can start wrapping cheeseburgers and chicken patties and whatever else the main menu might have, as well as the main entree. Serving, helping serve the food, getting that prepared. And we cook in batches. So like I'll get the first part of the day ready to go for the first lunch line. And then after that's over with, put more food in the oven. So I'm cooking more for the next line. So everything's always fresh. And then preparing, getting the breakfast ready for the next day as well. So when I come in the morning, all I got to do is pull it out of the refrigerator and get it going. Production records, counting food at the end of the day, seeing how much we prepared, how much we used, trying to eliminate as much waste as possible. So I don't like throwing food away. So, in record keeping at the end of the day. So lots and lots of record keeping.
Right, which might be a part of a job that most people might not think about when they think,
Correct.
that's something else.
There's a lot of stuff in the back of the office that people don't think about doing, such as ordering. And with the food shortages that we've had throughout the pandemic, so we're always looking ahead on the menu, what's next week, so that so we can order. We're always trying to keep our order a week ahead. So like my food that was coming in this week was for next week and the following week, because sometimes, the chicken nuggets didn't come in, so now I can order them again and hopefully have them by the time chicken nuggets are on the menu again. So there's that, and there's keeping track of the ordering. And also just kind of paying attention to what the kids like. So it's like sometimes I'll be like, I'll see something pop up on the menu and I'm like, they really don't like that, or they don't care for it as much. Some kids that might like it. So then we try to add something else in there so they have lots of options. So, because you always want to make sure that there's something that, Johnny's going to like. If they don't like this, they might like that. You know what I'm saying? So There's that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. What would you say is your favorite part of the job?
The kids. I've been a lunch lady for 22 years, so I've seen them come and go, and I let them call me by my first name. I like to call them by their first name. I like to get to know them. They come in 6th grade. I get them 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade. So by the time they're in 8th grade, I really like, I'll see them come in. Hey, what's going on? They'll be like, hey, Tina, how's it going? This and that. Now I see some of my kids after 22 years out in the real world as adults. And I ran into one not too long ago at the hospital that was a nurse, and he recognized me. He said, used to be my lunch lady. And I see them out in restaurants as waitresses or, waiters, or I see them all over the place, and they remember me. And, they grow up. They were in 6th and 7th and 8th grade when I seen them. Now they're adults. They don't look the same as they did back then. So they'll give me their name and I'll remember their name. Sometimes their faces still look the same, but it's cool to see them become productive adults in the world, So I do love the kids though.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kristen, from the building level perspective, what have you witnessed in terms of, that relationship that Tina is touching on right now, talking, between lunch staff and students?
Before I get to your question, Sarah, I would like to, like Michael and Tina, thank you for having me on the show today. Prior to addressing that, I think it's important to lift up what Durant is all about, because our unique culture is kind of what drives the relationship between food service staff and our students and staff as well. We are the 3rd high school in Waterford. We offer an identical curriculum to that is offered at both Kettering and Mott, with a couple of unique electives thrown in there. Right now, we have a population of about 134 students. Our students come in having to have at least 2 years of high school and ranging in age from 15 to 19 years old. Our school runs on terms, and we have 4 10-week terms in a calendar year. So relationship is very key because we're such a small community. So when you think about the relationship between the food service staff and teachers, is almost synonymous, because they see food service staff every day. They're coming in for breakfast, they're coming in for lunch. We want our food service team to be a part of our culture, so they have participated in trainings. When we have staff celebrations, if their schedules permit, they are always included. We communicate if there are any issues in terms of students having concerns about food. I want to give a huge shout out to Mr. Williams, who visits classrooms, who takes the voices of our students seriously. And it's very important that that happens, because our students are some who have either fallen behind in credits or prefer a smaller setting. So in big schools, they didn't necessarily have their voices heard, but that's something that they really respect and value. Something as simple as getting a different type of sauce for a taco, it changes the game. So I appreciate him for doing that. So we really impress upon our students and staff the importance of mutual respect. And I think the food service and our students would say that they feel that they each are a part of our family, and that we have a unique bond here at Durant in that regard.
Awesome. Thanks for that perspective, Kristen.
You're welcome.
Michael, I know things have gotten a little more difficult in the food service industry during COVID. What are some of the challenges your department is facing?
So right now, as far as challenges are concerned, we're dealing with, along with everyone that's in the food service department and business, we're dealing with shortages, and we're dealing with staff shortages as well. So shortages with the food as far as productivity is concerned, because like everyone is dealing with, we just can't seem to get the food in when we need it, right? So we have to be 2 or 3 weeks ahead of the game to make sure that we have the initial product we need to make sure that our menu is complete with all the components that are in addition to it. So what we do, my team, from our lunch ladies all the way up to myself and my office team, my secretary and my assistant, we are going through asking all of our vendors to make sure that we have things that are ready to be ordered. We're ordering ahead of time, and when things aren't able to be ordered, we try to substitute things as they come in. So it's a daily process, it's an hourly process, and sometimes it's right down to the minute as far as the food product.
Yeah, absolutely. I know today we were getting some video footage, and it was quite busy in there, we heard. Despite all of these challenges, you are continuing to persevere and provide food for our students. Why is it so important for students to have food available to them during the course of the school day?
Well, I touched on it a little bit in my opening comments, but it's just so pivotal to make sure that the children have something nutritious to eat in the morning to start their day, right? So it kickstarts the brain, it kickstarts really the body to make sure that you have that energy. And when the kids come in, they're ready to learn, they're upbeat, their brain's working. So it's kind of like an engine or a car when you put gas into it, right? And that food is the gas to make the body go, to make the brain kind of start turning that engine to be, to have all that energy to start that learning process. And the same thing that happens with lunch, right? So we all have that certain middle day crash, and with that lunch being provided, again, with the nutrients that they need to continue to learn, it's pivotal for them to have that. So while they're in the classrooms, they're still attendant, and it's pivotal that they have that to continue to learn on a regular basis. So.
All right. And Kristen, what do you think about what Michael is saying in regard to the importance of food for our students?
I totally agree. And when I think about Durant specifically, our students have so many different challenges outside of the classroom that they're worried about. They're worried about contributing financially to their households. Some of them are parents themselves. Some of them have responsibilities that are greater than you can imagine. So for people who may say, oh, I really would like to not have, this type of item every day on the menu, some kids bank on that. This is the only food that they have. So a lot of times when there are snow days, when there are days that are out of school, when we have to pivot to, online learning, I often wonder about how my students eat, because some of them, they count on that. So much so that we brainstormed with Michael and his team to talk about, for students who have issues with transportation in the morning, getting here, what can we do? And we offered an alternate lunch from the hot lunch, so the kids are still able to eat, even if they're getting here later in the day. And so, like he said, it's very important for them to be able to have one less thing to worry about, for them to think, like, instead of stopping by and having to worry about getting snacks snacks or something unhealthy, you can get something nutritious here. If students don't want items in their lunch, we encourage them. We have a table in the back that's set up where this is for extras or things you don't want. And initially, that table was filled with things because I think kids didn't have the courage to go there. But now, if you go back and see, it's empty other than a apple that might have been bruised. So I think it's very, very important for our students to continue to get the nutrition that they need. And I think that we don't give credit enough to that team for what it is that they do, because they may just be thinking they're coming in and working a shift. But for some of these kids, this is all the food that they may get that's balanced throughout their day, weeks, and on the weekend as well when they take it home. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Michael, can you talk about some exciting things that your department has on the horizon?
Yes, but first I wanted to double back on what Kristen mentioned, and it's just so pivotal. And I love the saying, "It takes a village," because I believe that in the district we're all a family, a working family, and our main objective is to make sure that our students leave here with the best experience, whether that's on an educational level, with us dealing with food service, that's just a nutritional level. We all have intricate parts in this to make sure that our students thrive. And we are called upon to make decisions and come up with plans to make sure that we live out that mission. One of the things that we do as far as when we are called to pivot and go into learning virtually is we offer a drive-up service so that our kids do not miss any meals on account of not being able to come into schools, and that's been one of the great programs we've integrated into our meal service that is thriving, because like Kristen said and mentioned, some of our students, the only time they're able to eat is when they're at school, right? So we didn't want to break that pattern up, and we'll continue to do so as we're needed. But as far as what we're looking to integrate as far as new ideas or continue then within food services, we're looking to add a lot more fresh fruit and vegetables in our salad bars. Once things start to open up as far as the restrictions on COVID, we're looking to really get back into having fresh fruit and salad bars, starting with our secondaries, our high schools and our middle schools, and trickling down to our elementaries. We're looking into I visit the schools on a daily basis, but what I'm looking to do is to bring more fun and more education as far as food service is concerned. So we're looking into purchasing a mobile kitchen to go throughout the schools and teach kids on and inform them on more healthy way of eating and having fun with it, right? And just educating them on the importance of eating healthy and staying healthy. So those are things that we're looking down later in the pipeline that we're looking and we're excited to bring to the district.
All right, and what are some other items you've implemented to help our student and parent population become more engaged with food service?
I would like to say number one is our interactive menu we have posted on the school website. That's really the direct pipeline that the parents can actually check and make sure that one, they know what their kids are eating on a daily basis, and it holds us accountable because it shows what we're serving, and there's no drop off in communication, right? So the reason I love it so much is because it's interactive. The parents can click on the link, and it shows the menu for the whole month, and just by hovering over menu items in the day, the week, or the month, it breaks everything down into the carb counts, the fat content, sugar content, all the information that the parents need just in case they have a student or a child with a special diet. It gives them all the information just in case their kid needs to take some type of insulin or anything connected to their health. We have all the information on the website for them.
That menu sounds super helpful. I'll
It
have to
is.
check it out, yeah. Where can our audience find that menu, as well as any other information about food service?
So the menu is on the Waterford School District website. And you can scroll down at the bottom of that page and click on the food and nutrition tab, and as soon as you click on that, you pick the school that your student goes to. And once you, I think that's like 3 clicks. Once you do that, you'll be able to follow through, and the interactive menu will pop up, and all you have to do is just pick a day, a week, or a month, and all the information, nutritional information, will be there for you.
All right, awesome. Thanks for each of you for being on the show. Scott, any food for thought about WSD's food service department?
Yeah, coming to mind, thinking about, we think about the 3 R's: relationships, relevance, and rigor. And so what we've heard today, and Tina was talking about having relationships with our kids and making sure that they have the needed nutrition to be successful throughout the day. And it takes me back to some experiences I had in elementary. I was one of those kids that received a reduced lunch. I think it was a dime back then. And I had a relationship with those ladies. In fact, the custodian, I came to find out, would pay extra money so I could have extra ravioli. That was the best meal I had in that day. But I had a relationship with the lunch ladies, and that food that I had was so important. And I know it's so important to our students. Kristen talked about that over at Durant. So we want to close the gap on help our kids, our students, be successful, and nutrition is a key way about that. And I'm so pleased we're doing breakfast, because breakfast sets the day off. And, some might say, well, they should eat breakfast at home. Well, should have, would have, could have. We know that kids need to have that nutrition. Maybe they've been on the bus. Maybe they had something at 6:30 in the morning. But come 7:30, 8 o'clock, they're ready to have something again. So set the day off where they're going to be most successful and focused on their learning.
Yep, absolutely, Scott. Thank you again to Michael, Tina, and Kristen for being on the show. Kristen, your insight into the importance of having your students connect with food service staff, I think, is very innovative. And Michael and Tina, you provide our students with nutritious food, which is such an important piece of the academic success and engagement puzzle. And we thank you for all that you do. What a great conversation with our food service staff, Scott. I really think that's a sector of any school district that students and families frequently interact with, yet rarely understand how they operate. So I'm glad we were able to get them on the show.
Yeah, I completely agree, Sarah. And so who do we have next on our WSD Voice?
So next, we're going to feature some of our students and staff from our music and theater programs. When I was starting to put this show together, I soon realized what an animal this was, because there is quite simply a lot of talent in the arts here at Waterford School District. So I fully acknowledge that this episode is only a small peek into the inside of some of the art programming we have here at Waterford. But we have to start somewhere, and I promise to include more guests and programs on later episodes.
Oh, absolutely, Sarah. WSD has a long-standing history of providing amazing art opportunities to students, and we continue to make it a priority. So let's get started. For this discussion, I'd like to welcome Jason Pratt, the theater teacher and performing arts center coordinator at Kettering High School, Cory, Wholehan, a 14-year music teacher who currently works in 3 of our elementaries, Schoolcraft, Riverside, and Grayson, plus assists with the Mott High School marching band. And we have 2 of our students with us today, Jaylin Thompson, a sophomore studying music at Kettering, and Bella Ziegler, a senior at Mott studying theater.
Awesome. Quite the lineup of guests. Welcome to the show, everyone. And before we begin, real quick, Scott, were you ever involved in music or theater?
Yeah, I actually, a little bit on both. Back in elementary and middle school, I played the cornet, and so those were some good times. Also, I've been involved in my church choir in the past when I had a little bit more time. And karaoke. Does karaoke count? Maybe not.
I don't think so.
Maybe not.
And I took piano lessons when I was a young girl. I still remember the day when my parents had saved up for a piano and rolled it into our living room. It was a really big deal to get that. Ultimately, I didn't continue with the piano, which may be a life regret, but I did, in high school, I did some clarinet music as well in the concert band. We will first start with Jason Pratt, who just told me the other day that he has been elected to serve as the chapter director for the Michigan Educational Theater Association. So congrats to you, Jason. I know you've done a lot of advocacy work for theater in the state. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show. I've done quite a bit of advocacy in terms of theater education around the state, and I teach workshops. I teach other educators how to advocate for their students and their programs, and I teach a lot of different things. I've testified on committees in the Michigan State House of Representatives, and I've reached out and worked with the governor's office on a few occasions to have her proclaim March both Theater in Our Schools Month and Music in Our Schools Month in the state of Michigan, which has been pretty exciting.
Yeah, that is. So why is it so important to establish these month recognitions?
Well, I think it's important for them to be recognized on a higher level because it keeps the topics of arts and education important and relevant to our communities and the public.
Absolutely. So now let's talk a little bit about the successes of our music and theater programs here at home at Waterford. Can you name a few highlights stemming from those programs?
Sure. Well, I was just actually talking to you about this the other day. We've had several of our students fairly recently competing at the state solo ensemble events where numerous students earned the highest ratings, superior or Division I ratings, and numerous also earned the second highest rating of excellent or Division IIs. They did a fantastic job. We're really proud of them for that. We've had some students have really good successes this year. You're going to meet a couple of them later, and I'll let them talk about those successes. We've seen the reimagining of and return of live performances happening at all of the Waterford School District schools, which is really great to see. Waterford Kettering specific, something I'm proud of as the director there. The musical, The Sound of Music, was nominated for Best High School Musical in the state of Michigan at the Sutton Foster Ovation Awards. And two of my actors, Naomi Black, was nominated for Best Actress in a Musical, and Holden Savaka was nominated for Best Actor in a Musical for their roles in The Sound of Music.
And I see Bella clapping as she hears that news. Those accomplishments are amazing and such a testament to the programs offered at Waterford School District. From a teacher's point of view, why would you recommend Arts for Students?
Yeah, and arts education and arts in our schools is really important to kind of envision that well-rounded student aspect of education. When you think about what arts education does, it's very closely linked to everything we as a nation ask of our children and the schools that they attend. It has shown that the involvement in the arts is associated with an increase in reading comprehension and cognitive ability and critical thinking and verbalization skills. There have been studies done that show that they also improve student motivation, makes them want to be in school and makes them want to be an active member of their community. It helps their concentration. It helps confidence, and I've seen that on several occasions personally in the arts programming we have in Waterford. And it's really great to see arts education able to provide students with a foundation of social bonding and community cohesion and engagement that is really difficult to get in many other places.
Absolutely. And speaking of well-rounded student, we're going to talk to Bella now. Like Scott mentioned before, Bella is a theater student at Mott High School who recently played the role of Rona Lisa Peretti in Mott's fall production of the 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee. Bella, thanks again for being on the show. We love having our students on. Can you talk a bit about how you got started in theater?
Thank you for having me. So I started performing in 5th grade. My elementary school put on a Christmas Carol, and I played the Ghost of Christmas Present. I was really shy and awkward as a kid, so this was a really big jump for me. But my parents and family can attest that it threw me out of my shell, and they saw a spark light within me, and that you could see that I got hooked, and they knew this was something I was going to do for a very long time.
Yeah, absolutely. What is it that you love about performing?
I just love the energy that it gives me. I grew up around music, and I was exposed to theater at a very young age. I would always go see the middle school productions, so I always knew that this was something I was really interested in. But I love the feeling it gives me. I love going up on stage and being able to pour my heart out into a song or a monologue or something. It gives me this like rush that nothing else can give me.
That's awesome. And you mentioned to me earlier that you have received a very prestigious scholarship for your work in theater. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so recently I just went to the Michigan Thespian Festival back in December, and I received the Michigan Thespian Scholarship, which was huge and insane. I was not expecting to receive the award, but I was one of 10 students in the entire state who received it, which was crazy. Of a million like different thespians, not well, like thousands of thespians, um, I got that above everyone else. It was just so surreal. It just shows how much passion and work all these kids have put into their craft. And I'm forever grateful for the experiences that I've received at that festival. In particular, it was so surreal. It was so amazing to be able to receive that.
Thanks, Bella. I'm really, really happy for you. That sounds like an amazing opportunity and good for you. Now let's talk about music a little bit. Up next on the program we have Cory, who is in charge of the instrument closet for all students in the district. Now, what is the instrument closet, you may ask? I had the same reaction when someone first mentioned it to me, but as soon as I learned what it was, I knew it was something we needed to talk about on this episode. So Cory, can you tell us what the instrument closet is?
Yes, thanks for having me. The instrument closet is an actual closet full of instruments we have available to lend out to students to use while they are in band or orchestra in Waterford. We currently have about 15 instruments in the closet ready to lend out. We have lots of beginning band instruments, so that's flute, clarinet, trumpet, trombone, and we have a few violins. These instruments are available for any Waterford School District student who cannot afford to get their own instrument. Once an instrument is leased out to a student, it is theirs to use until they graduate or stop participating in school band or orchestra, or if they move out of Waterford. If anyone would like help getting an instrument for their child, all they need to do is ask a music teacher at their school, and the music teacher will contact me to connect you with an instrument.
Okay, and why is it important to have a closet like this?
Yeah, we believe all students should have access to participate in school band or orchestra if they want to. Sometimes the hardest part is the cost of getting the instrument. This instrument closet provides one more way for families to get an instrument for their child. We really want to make sure our current fifth graders know about this option. Sixth grade is when we begin band and orchestra in school, and we want to help them set them up for success so they can hopefully be members of our high school ensembles in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Allowing access to music for all students, so important. How can the community help out with the instrument closet?
A local music store, McCourt's Music, is already helping by providing repairs for a small cost. This helps get the instruments in the best condition before we lend them out to students. If anyone is listening and has an old instrument in a closet at home or in the attic gathering dust, you can donate it to the instrument closet, and it will provide more Waterford students with the chance to participate in band or orchestra. Again, you can contact any music teacher in the district, and they will make sure that I get the instrument for the closet.
All right, thank you for overseeing such a wonderful asset in our district, Cory. Continuing on with our music discussion, let's talk to Jaylin. Jaylin, I became aware of you when your teacher sent me some of the music you had been creating in your piano class at Kettering. And he said you were making all of the music yourself, which is pretty unique. What first got you into music and more specifically piano?
So firstly, thank you for having me on the show. And what started me off was being surrounded by all different types of music from a young age, from old school rock to hip hop, R&B, from grandparents, parents, uncles, aunties. You can, if you can think of it, you can name it. And what specifically got me into like piano playing was my church choir that I attended as a child. I would always hear the one person on the piano playing all sorts of different masterpieces that kind of just like grabbed my attention. And then from there, my curiosity just grew.
All right. Can you talk a little bit about how you create your own music and who your influencers are?
Um, so the way that I create my own music is like I do a little bit of research on different um, websites that have what's the word I'm looking for? Platforms that I can create these beats with. So one of them that I use is right on my phone. It's downloadable for iOS. Is called GarageBand. Basically, it started off there, me sampling stuff from songs that I've heard and creating other stuff based off of that. And what really got me into creating my own stuff like this would be DJ Khaled. He is also a DJ and producer, and Kanye West, who back in his old days actually sampled songs and made his own beats too, which kind of got me into, all this.
All right. What is it that you enjoy about music?
It helps me get my creative side out and express myself in like a meaningful way to me, and not only just to me, but to other students who have a creative side but are scared to like bring it out for everyone else to see. So I'm kind of like a influence that you have a creative side, you can get it out of there and let this be heard to everyone else around you.
All right. Thank you so much, Jaylin, for being on the show. In fact, for our listeners, we're going to use Jaylin's composition as the closing music for this podcast. So when you all hear the music come in at the end, please know that it was composed by one of our very own students, by Jaylin. Jason, if you're a parent and want to find out more about the art programming we offer at Waterford, how can you do so?
Well, I think a great way, number one, is to reach out to any of the arts educators through email in the district. And you can find all of our email addresses, if you don't know what they are, right on Waterford's school district's website, which is waterford.k12.mi.us. Or you can even phone any of the buildings and ask to be connected to the teachers somehow, and they will make sure that we get in contact with you.
All right, thank you, Jason. Scott, what do you think about this discussion? We had Jason and Cory really leading the charge as teachers in these fields, and we have two wonderful students here, Bella and Jaylin, and I know they're just two of the many very talented students we have in the district. How important is it to have music and theater in our schools?
Well, I think about years ago, we had black and white television, and now we have color. And I'm going back many decades. But music and the arts bring color to life. And so, listening to Jaylin and Bella today just reminds me that color and that excitement and that vibrant experience that it brings our students. And so this board and this community and this district is committed to a AAA district where we are always having opportunities in academics, athletics, and the arts. And we find that students are engaged and connected. And as we find with our students today, they have futures beyond high school. We're preparing kids for what those futures may hold. And certainly Bella and Jaylin have shown that they hold a lot of promise for the future in the arts.
Yep. Thank you for that insight, Scott, and thank you to all of our guests for being here today. We will continue to highlight our music, theater, and art programs in future episodes for sure. This podcast was brought to you by Waterford School District's Department of School and Community Services and is produced by Media Production Coordinator Jane Kelly. I am the host of this podcast, Sarah Davis, and you can find all episodes of WSD Voice on our website at waterford.k12.mi.us, or like I mentioned earlier, you can tune in to 89.5 WAHS or Radio Central Multicultural. We so appreciate you listening today and encourage you to continue to tune in to future episodes of WSD Voice as we discuss topics geared toward inspiring, educating, and empowering our students, staff, alumni, and community to thrive.